fear and disparagement are the worst types of verbal abuse. Father says, my children have to respect me. The Gemara tells a story about a little boy in Bnei Brak. Talking about something, we're talking about 1,700 years ago. And what was the little boy's sin? He wasn't careful at the dinner table and he broke a glass. And the father roared at him. And the father says, wait and see the punishment you're going to get from me. The kid was so terrorized, he ran out of the house and he found a big pit and he jumped and committed suicide. It's Gemara. True story, right out of the Gemara. That child is terrorized. The worst thing a parent could do is to threaten a child. Okay, either you could say it's not such a big deal and be quiet, and you want to punish him on the spot. But to keep a child with terror, when is the axe going to fall down on my head? That's called in Torah, it's an Inui Adin. When they put a person in death row and they don't tell them when they kill him. Okay, you're going to get killed. When? No. Every single moment is terror. At the punishment and when the punishment and what's the punishment. Okay, but even so, we're not in favor of punishment. We're in favor of education. I don't know about punishment. Punishment doesn't teach. Education does teach. Okay, but even if your father you want to punish on the spot. Punish on the spot. To scare a child. Child loses his joy in life. That is killing a child. And if you're not killing a child physically, it's killing a child spiritually because it's stealing the child's joy of life. And that's it. And you can say a story about, he's one of the classic examples. Charles Schultz, he must have been the guy that invented Peanuts. You remember Peanuts? He had this character called Pigpen. And Pigpen was this little dirty boy. And nobody knew his real name. But they called him Pigpen. Everybody called him Pigpen. And who knows how hurtful that was? But they walked around dirty and unshoveled all day long. Let me ask you a question. If a kid gets a label by this way, this is another express example. Last week, I told you that the Gemara cannot possibly list all the different types of verbal abuse, but it does say a nickname is forbidden. If that child's name is David and a parent calls him Pigpen, or in Yiddish Schlumper, which you said before, okay, if you call a kid a Schlumper, and the kid means dirty and disheveled, call him a Schlumper, call him Pigpen enough times, he's going to believe that he's a Pigpen. Don't expect him to take his clothes to the laundry basket. Don't expect him to fold his clothes. Don't expect him to hang up his clothes. And you can't expect his bedroom to be a mess and to have the dirty stuffs of bits and pieces of old food, of old chocolate wrappers and all kinds of scraps of food from 3 weeks ago, because they're disappearing with label. Put a negative label on a child? It's terrible. Terrible horror stories about children that they could go one by just, but don't call it, it's forbidden in Torah, and because it leaves a child with the worst emotional scars, really worse emotional scars. Okay, so we can't expect little David to be nice and neat and clean if his parents call him Pigpen. And sometimes, I know one story, real painful story. Guy that served with me in my army unit. And people that didn't know this guy, oh, he's so daring, he's so courageous. And inside, we know the guy made dumb chances. He did. He gambled. He took big gambles. He did dangerous stuff. But Shem helped him and he succeeded. But it's things that you don't do, take unnecessary chances. And once in a late midnight, if your brother's in arms, you really get close. And once he revealed to me that when he was 10 years old, these two 12-year-old bullies beat him up. And he came home, he was crying, 10-year-old crying. Two guys older than him, bigger than him, they beat him up. And the father said, did you fight back? And he says that one held me and the other beat me. I couldn't fight back. They're bigger than me. Father said, you didn't fight back, you're a coward. Wow. Father, you're a murderer. You almost murdered that kid. This child had a death wish. He figured this, listen, if I get killed on a mission, I'm a hero. Okay, so I'm a hero, and nobody can say I'm a coward. All right, because I'm in a combat unit. My father was in a combat unit like this. And if I don't get killed and I take this really big chance and I get the mission done, I'm a hero. So it's a win-win situation. All right. His death wish is a win-win situation. He doesn't care about he get killed because here he is in his 20s as a soldier in a good infantry unit. And there's plenty, no lack of, in Israel, there's no lack of chances for combat, at least in our history. Okay. And his father, death wish. Because at age 10, one time, father called him coward. And this is not like the pig pen, the parents call him pig pen all the time. Father, one time, this pierced his heart, an arrow that pierced his heart. Parents, watch your mouths. Watch your mouth. A mouth is a word, a mouth is a bullet. And a bullet, you don't know where it can hit right in the heart. And it can murder a child's soul and bring him to a point of such extreme behavior. I'll give you another story. Another story. A young lady that was sent to me for counseling, and her parents complained that she was off the track of observing Judaism, this and that. Father came home from work and saw the girl in a little too much makeup that their group, the girls that grow up in their group, are allowed to have. And he said, get the makeup. And they said, get the makeup off. And then he said, excuse the expression. He called her a slut. Oh, are you calling an observant girl learns a Beis Yaakov? You call her SLUT? That's it. It did the same thing that it did the guy that was 10 years old. This was the young lady was 17. Well, after he said that, okay, if my father calls me that, I'm going to learn exactly what it's all about, and I'm going to have a good time. And then it was party time. This let all the horses out of the barn. And all was there. They're all running free. Okay, Father, you're a murderer. You're a murderer. Hold it. Why not sit down with your daughter and say, sweetheart, do you believe in Hashem? Yes, no. Okay, yes or no. If you do, then let's open up 13 principles of Emunah. Let's open up 3 words of Emunah. Let's open up divine direction. Hashem is with us every month. Do you believe, to get across the street, you have to have Hashem with us? Do you know what happens to the divine presence when there's something unsightly? And explain to it. Explain to it. Kindness. I'll tell you something. There's the Melitzer Rebbe, my Rebbe, he is a great-grandson of the Baal Shem Tov. And there's a Hasidic custom that they never kiss and hug their daughters. Never kiss and hug their daughters. But the way he speaks to his daughters, the daughters have such love and reverence for their father. I see this. Unbelievable. And their fathers, the daughters all get, the daughters don't respect, because it's the way, if a parent, the love and respect you give your child, this is what you're going to get back. And for a man, and this a man himself from a Hasidic family, a Hasidic background, to use such a word against his own daughter? Okay, how would you like if Hashem used that? Okay, how about if every time, sir, you look at a woman other than your wife, Hashem called you I don't want to say it, but Hashem called you an equivalent word that you called your daughter, you wouldn't like that. And if Hashem judged you like that, you wouldn't like that. So you have a double standard, a different standard for yourself, a different standard for your children. That is not education. And I'll tell you one thing, kids have fantastic radar for hypocrisy. The moment there is not the same standard, the moment there's a double standard, they're not going to listen to parents. Because if you don't live it, you can't give it. The way to educate our kids is by personal example. And that's it. So that is, when we tell the verbally abused child, if you know of a verbally abused child, and the child is underage, which means under the age of bar mitzvah, bat mitzvah, the best thing you could do is to get a hold of the parents' spiritual guide, the parents' rabbi, the parents, whatever, and say that maybe you could talk to the parents about that. This is something critical, and it's saving a life. And if the rabbi or the spiritual guide has got his heads up, then he'll find a way to speak to that. And if the child is an adult, then to understand, I know one thing for an adult, that the Torah says, what is the Torah? The Torah requires me to honor my parents. Okay, you're required to honor your parents, yes. And you can't answer your parents. You can't, even if they yell at you. Even that the Gemara says that even if a parent takes our wallet with all our money in it and throws it in the ocean, we can't say anything bad to the parent. Okay, but if the parent is chronically verbally abusive, to honor our parents, we don't have to be masochists. So the way a person can exercise honor of parents is to pray for the parents, and you don't have to expose yourself to a verbally abusive individual, even if it's a parent. Okay, but then they don't take this as a blanket license to cut off. You have to ask your own rabbi, your own spiritual guide with your own particular circumstance. But this is just in general. Okay, that's as far as that. All right, so why